I think we good. I think we good, y'all. We think we good. What's up, y'all? We in the building. Let's start the show off right, baby. Yeah, yeah, yes. Y'all already know what's good, y'all. What's good, y'all. What's good, y'all. What's great. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Can the Brothers Get a Rap podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Lovechild. This is episode 198. I want to thank y'all for tuning and tapping in each and every Sunday and every Wednesday. It means the world to me. It helps with the growth of the show, amount of love that y'all give and that we receive through the show. So again, thank y'all for y'all support. It means everything. Uh, Quick shout out, man. It's been such a crazy day and week, man. A quick shout out to the chat, man. I'm gonna shout some more people out in the chat a little later on. But a quick shout out to y'all that's already in the building. Again, y'all showing up early and loyal each and every episode. Again, it means the world, man. Like seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all. Let's get this thing started. Um, Episode 198. I want to thank the presenting sponsor of this podcast, which is Button Snaps, where you get the finest of movies, shows, documentary, and original content for your viewing pleasure of $4.99. Again, that's Button Snaps. Got the playback. Again, the four. Again, the Again, Button Snaps, the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. Again, that's the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. Again, buttonsnaps.com. You get the finest of movies. Is our presenting sponsor. Also, I want to uh, thank y'all for supporting my new EP. Again, it's doing so well due to y'all support. And again, it's great music on there as well. If you haven't heard the songs yet, make sure you tune and tap in on any music platform. Just type in Ashley Lovechild. Just type it in. And again, thank you for your support. Again, it's called Winners Loyalty, 6 songs of fire. And I appreciate the support, man, for real. Also, I want to thank the chat. Like I said, with the chat, I want to thank the chat for tuning and tapping in. Um, Shout out to Shay in the building. Shout out to Winter in the building. Big badge holders. We got badge holders in the building. I'm seeing badge holders up and down the chat. Thank you for your support. Shout out to Winter. Shout out to King P. Shout out to Paul. We got Big Paul in the building. Appreciate you tapping in. And we got Ryan Anderson. Again, some of our day ones and our big badge holders. Thank you for tuning and tapping in to tonight's pod. Appreciate you and your support as always. Oh, we got Patrick Torres in the building. Appreciate you, Patrick, for tuning and tapping in. Hey, what's up, my dude? My Giants won today, finally. I'm not gonna lie, I was very surprised. I'm gonna get into that a little later, but Patrick Torres, another one of our loyals and badge holder, big badge holder. But when I did my pick six, I will be honest. When I did my pick six, I chose the Giants to lose. I'm not gonna hold you because of what I've seen on offense. The defense, I was on record. The Giants is much improved. I think they need to give Russ some time to cook. They chose to sit Russ. They went with the rookie, but it was a team effort, and it's unfortunate that y'all lost, y'all receiver today, Malik Neighbors. I hope not for the season, but it's looking like for the season. But y'all did get a W, and I really thought Harbaugh, his track record against rookie quarterbacks is really good. So, that was one of the reasons why I went against the Giants today. Uh, they're playing better. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Everyone choose the Giants to lose. I didn't think they would win. Yeah, like I said, what's weird about picking? You have to be aware of peaks and valleys in the NFL. Because anytime a team looks really, really bad, next week they don't look as bad. and they mess around and win the game compared to what we seen the week prior to. So, like I said, I didn't think the Giants would win today because I thought Chargers had everything to gain from winning. By the Chargers losing today is going to affect them down the line. You seen my Chiefs won today. Y'all seen that, right? You know what I'm saying? And again, it's going to affect the placement down the line. So, shout out to the Bills too. Like I said, I'm gonna get into that later as well. But the Bills is putting belt to ass because they know if they don't get that first round bye and they got to play against the Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens or the Bengals, they kind of playing with fire. At least if they control playing at home, they'll be able to do more with their chances. Chiefs had a big one. A big one. Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact. We played very. See, people don't understand. And I'm not talking about y'all, but most people with sports don't understand sports. Our defense is still our defense. Our defense still ball out. Like real talk, we were supposed to beat Philly. We had Philly beat. Quite naturally, Kelsey does not drop that ball. He catches it and takes it in the end zone, and we win that game. Our defenses, but our offense, oh my God, our offensive line is not good. We got a guy that jumps off sides every play. He jumps off sides so much that the refs know. They already know. But there has to be a reason why they allow him to do it because they let him do it every play. He's been allowed to do it everywhere he's played, not just with the Chiefs. And then the rest of our O-line is... And then we don't have number one receivers. And like all our guys is either hurt or suspended. Worthy played today. He's a very good player. But, we're playing with a whole lot of guys, man. So, beware of my Chiefs, man. We're going to figure it out, though. I'm not even going to go into... Like I said, I'm going to say that even more in the show. Shout out to Dope in the building. Appreciate you tapping in. Defense wins championships. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. Facts. You guys are getting your weapons back, too. I hope so, man. I hope, like I said, I hope when Rice come back, I hope he come back ready to go. Ain't play time. You know what I'm saying? We need it. You know what I mean? So, but I'm going to definitely get into that in the later part of the show when I talk about sports heavy. And remember, have these questions, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Have more of these questions. Shout out to Dope, Salute, ad host. Appreciate that, man. In panel. I'm trying to tell you, man, I know this sports stuff, man. I know this pretty well. All right, y'all, let's start the show. First segment of the night, popular opinions. Remember, y'all, these are not my questions. These are the world's questions. So stick to the answers in the questions. This segment is brought to you by OUV Records. Make sure you go to Instagram at OUV Records. Label motto is create, document, and inspire. And stay in tune to the latest music and merchandise. You see the merchandise, right? Yeah. That's hard. That's kind of hot. Oh, okay. That's kind of hot. But make sure y'all tap in, though. All right, y'all. First, popular opinion question of the night. Best movie girlfriend on this list. Best movie girlfriend on this list. Number 1, Lyric from Jason's Lyrics. Number 2, Angela from Boomerang. Number 3, Nina from Love Jones. Number 4, Monica from Love and Basketball. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let me know. Shout out to J Rome in the build. Appreciate you tapping in, my brother. Paul, it ain't over till it's over when it comes to sports. That's a fact, Paul. That's a fact, Paul. That is a fact. That's a fact. Merchin. What's up, Ash? Shout out to Shay. Shay, what's up? All right, so in the chat, I'm seeing Lyric so far in the chat. Again, the question was best movie girlfriend on this list. Again, number 1, Lyric from Jason's Lyrics. Number 2, Angela from Boomerang. Number 3, Nina from Love Jones. And number 4, Monica from Love and Basketball. I'm so far in the chat, I'm seeing Lyric in the chat. Is that what we're going with? I'm seeing Lyric in the chat. Let me know. I'm seeing Lyric. Like all these girlfriends was kind of cool. They was all kind of tough. I will give it up. It was all kind of tough. Me personally, I'm not going with Nina. I'm not going with Nina, me personally. Nina, relationship going all good. We chilling. Now she want to test the relationship, see if he really care. And then to see if the man really cares, she goes moving with her ex and be engaged and play house. And now he gets to spank them buns again. Nah. Cut Nina all the way out. Cut Nina all the way out. Uh, Lyric. Lyric was solid. I will say that. Lyric was solid. Lyric was solid. All her attentions in the movie was very solid. So to me, she has a chance, right? If I'm picking. Angela from Boomerang, man, Angela was solid, man. And when she found out that Jacqueline was talking about Marcus and just disparaging his reputation, she stepped to her like, yo, like it's affecting his work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what y'all had going on, but like chill, shorty. Like, it's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? You lost. You know what I mean? So and then she really got mad when, you know what I mean, when he cheated. So, or was it a cheat? Yeah, it was a cheat. It was a cheat. And then Monica from Love and Basketball, yeah, cut her out, bro. Like, she was solid. She was a solid. But waking me up at 2 in the morning talking about she want to play for my heart, if you don't get the F out of here, if you don't get the F out of here with that, talking about you want to play for my heart. All this time you've been messing up the last decade, you know what I'm saying? You going all to Rome and all that, playing basketball, ain't cared nothing about me ever since college. Now all of a sudden you want to play for my heart. The day before my wedding to somebody else. Yeah, cut Monica out, man. She be wasting time. So again, for me, it's between Lyric and Angela. And if I'm gonna do the choosing, I'm gonna say Angela. I'm going with Angela. In the chat, I seen Lyric heavily in the chat. I seen Angela as well in the chat. Boomerang for me. Yeah, so I'm seeing that in the chat. So again, I went with Angela. The chat went with either Lyric or Angela. The rest of the world at 44%, mind you, over 12,000 people voted on this. Went with Angela from Boomerang. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not. She was so solid in the movie, so solid, and then at the end, she showed the capacity to forgive old Marcus. You know what I'm saying? Not that she wasn't going to forgive him. Like, he came in there super smooth with the kitties. You know what I'm saying? With the turtleneck. The turtleneck is always a win when you pull up on the women. You know what I'm saying? You pull up with the turtleneck or the mock neck. You know what I mean? You pull up with the smooth, you know what I'm saying? Make sure your facial hair is nice and trimmed and everything. And, you know, I'm sorry, baby. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. You feel me? And she forgave him. So I'm going with Angela in the chat. Katie. Oh. Yo, get her, Pat. Get her, Pat. You know what I'm saying? Go get her. All right, y'all. Moving on to our next popular opinion question. Which NBA retro uniform needs to come back for good? Which NBA retro uniform needs to come back for good? Number 1, 76ers 2000 uniform. Number 2, Timberwolves 90s uniform, late 90s uniform. Number 3, Phoenix Suns early 90s uniform. Number 4, Raptors 90s uniform. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Again, the question is, which NBA retro uniform needs to come back for good? Again, number 1, 76ers 2000 uniform. That's the Allen Iverson days with the black and red. Those are some fire. That was some fire. Timberwolves, late 90s uniform. Phoenix Suns, early 90s uniform. And Toronto Raptors, 90s uniform. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. I love them all. So I'm seeing in the chat. Yeah, these are all tough uniforms right here. All tough uniforms right here. I'm not gonna hold you when the 76ers went to the black with the white with the red in it. Oh my God, that combination was deadly. Super fire. When the Toronto Raptors first came out, because y'all gotta remember, Toronto Raptors haven't been out forever. This is a relatively one of the, younger teams in the NBA. They came out like what, like 90, like early 90s. I remember there was an expansion team with them in Vancouver Grizzlies, and their uniforms was fire. Their uniforms were fire. I'm seeing Hornets. Hornets is not on this list though. It's not on this list, but Hornets do got some tough uniforms. They do got some tough retros. They do. I will say that. I will say that. So for me, out of everybody, I'm going with Phoenix. The Timberwolves, that late 90s Timberwolves uniform was fire too. But I'm going with the 76ers on this list. In the chat, I'm seeing a mix between 76ers and Raptors. Y'all all saying some fire uniforms, but they not on the Denver Nuggets old uniform though. Chef's kiss, bro. Them old uniform, them 90s uniforms, the navy blue with the red and oh my god, flamers. But it's not on this list, y'all. It's not on this list. So again, I went with the 76ers. I saw 76ers in the chat, and I saw Raptors in the chat. The rest of the world at 38%, mind you, over 8,000 people voted on this, went with the Toronto Raptors. Again, I'm not mad at this. Those are some fire uniforms, and they should bring those back because their new stuff, it's not terrible, but it ain't it though. It ain't it. The Utah Jazz is another team that needs to bring their old uniforms back. And I wish, again, I know they're not on this list. I wish the Pistons will bring back those turquoise uniforms for good. I know they switch them out, but bring those back for good. The Grant Hill years, those uniforms, until turquoise. Oh my God, chef's kiss, man. Those were super duper fire. The Nuggets, Hornets, yeah. Them Hornets uniforms was fire. They was fire with the like it was like a different type of blue, purple. Like yeah, those were fire too. Those are fire too. But I would say my top three 76ers, the old Utah ones was fire, but Detroit and the Denver Nuggets old 90s ones is fire. My favorite, I should say. All right, y'all, moving on to our next segment. Our Hollywood Need to Ask Us came up with the segment because there's a lot of trash-ass movies in Hollywood that they releasing. Nothing with no thought, no intrigue. I have better movie ideas or for a series or a movie series. So my Hollywood Need to Ask Us, I would like to see a movie with the use of sex as a bargaining tool in big business. I would love to see a movie regarding that. Of course, it has to be rated R, and I want it to be a drama where in real life, people use sex as a bargaining tool in any and every industry, whether it's big industry with oil, tech industry. Believe it or not, there's also the industry of jailing, where you have doctors, you have lawyers, doctors, you have medical doctors that work in a jail. I mean, people use sex as a bargaining tool, and I would love to see that play out in a movie. I would have this directed by John McTierney. He directed Die Hard, the original Die Hard, fire classic movie. And I think this movie would absolutely be fire. So, and then come to find out, there's movies where people are really actually having sex in the movies. And I always thought it was maybe like a few movies that did this. And a few came to my mind. Like, I've heard the myth is that in Monsters Ball, Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton was getting it cracking. It looked like that. Those sound like real moans. That sound like they was really getting it cracking. But the myth is that they really did get down. Same thing in I can't think of the name, but it was with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman when they was married. They had a movie together. I can't think of the name right now. I know when I see it, but the myth is that they got it cracking. But there's other movies that there is no myth. They got it cracking. Like there was a movie called The Brown Bunny. And there was a scene in there where homeboy whips it out and she blesses it. Like, bless. Like, and they're showing this. I'm like, nah. And she really did this in the movie. There's another movie called The Caligula, which is based on I believe like the Caesar of their time, or Caesar or Augustus. It was something regarding that storyline, and they was getting it popping. Like, they're showing like everything, and I'm like, whoa. So I would love to see a movie based on the use of sex. They don't actually have to show it, but the use of the bargaining tool in the business model, in the business style, where people bargaining sex for business favors. And I think that would be a fire movie to see, because it will be based on the truth. So I would love to see a movie based on that truth. Eyes Wide Open. Yes, that's the movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman when they was married. Eyes Wide Shut. Where the myth was they actually got it cracking. So, and I've never seen Eyes Wide Shut, but that's the myth, that they actually got it cracking. They said that rumor also about Lisa Bonet and Mickey Rourke. Yeah, oh, Mickey Rourke. Really, really. I would have to see that. I would have to see that. I didn't even know they had a movie together, but I would have to check that out. Not because of the scene, but because they're both great actors. Yeah, so it's definitely Eyes Wide Shut. Yes, a couple of y'all said it in the chat. And like I said, I didn't even know some of these movies existed, but again, the movie was called The Brown Bunny, and then the girl that was doing the scene, her career, she has a lot of scenes like that where it's like actually like it's really real, and I was like, yo. So again, I would love to see a movie based on the use of sex as a bargaining tool in big business. So that's my Hollywood Need to Ask Us for this episode. All right, moving on to our must-see movies. I'm going to give y'all 3 must-see movies, as always, episode 198. And I ain't going to miss. I don't miss when it comes to these movies, so make sure y'all tap into them. It's called Angel's Heart. Okay, the movie with Lisa Bonet and Mickey Rourke. Bet I'm gonna check that out. Those are both great actors. Not because they got a scene in there, but because they're great actors. You know what I'm saying? But yes. All right, Charles. So my 3 must-see movies. The first one you must see came out in 1991, directed by Charles Finch. This movie stars Dylan McDermott, Tom Sizemore, and Sharon Stone. That's a good cast right there. This movie is called Where Dogs Lie. Fire movie about a writer, a seasonal writer that haven't had a really good book or story in a while, and he's working on the best story he's ever worked on ever, but it deals with murder. And you have to see the rest of the movie. I won't ruin it, and I won't spoil it for you. Second must-see movie on my list came out in 2008. This movie's directed by Wiener Herzog. This stars Nicolas Cage, Eva Mendes, Val Kilmer, William M. Finkelstein, Farizna Bulk, and Sean Halsey. This movie is called Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Fire must-see movie, again, about a lieutenant who's, working his cases, and he stumbled on a case where people are being, systematically murdered, and you have to see the rest of the movie. It is a wild movie, so make sure you tap in to see Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Third and final must-see movie came out in 1983, directed by J. Lee Thompson. This movie stars Charles Bronson, Emmanuel M. Davis, Andrew Stevens, Lisa Ibaka, and Jeffrey Lewis. This movie is called 10 to Midnight. This movie still holds up very well. Fire must-see movie again by the top cop, and he's looking for a guy who's going around unaliving women of his choice, because you have to see the rest of the movie. I won't spoil it for you, so again, make sure you tap in to see 10 to Midnight. So my 3 must-see movies again, y'all, is Where Sleeping Dogs Lie. I'm sorry, Where Sleeping Dogs Lie, yes. Number 2, Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. And number 3, 10 to Midnight. Make sure y'all tap into those 3 must-see movies. All right, y'all, moving on to our next one. Y'all already know I'm going to give y'all some fire music to listen to, whether it's new or old, whether it's hip-hop or R&B. It's just going to have that good old music, good old vibration, and I profile an artist each and every episode. My artist tonight that I'm profiling is the incomparable, no other than R. Kelly. If you haven't heard these 3 songs, put these 3 songs on your playlist. Number 1, Sex Weed. Number 2, I Never Leave. Number 3, I Decided. These are fire songs and you must put on your playlist by R. Kelly. Again, number 1, Sex Weed. Number 2, I Never Leave. And number 3, I Decided. So again, put those on your playlist. All right, y'all, moving on to our must-read book, and I'm going to give y'all something great to read. This book is called Black Faces in High Places. This book shows strategies on how professionals could get to the top and stay on the top using simple practices in business that will help you for, again, the short and the long run. This book is by Randall D. Pickett and Jeffrey Robinson. Great book to read. So make sure, again, you tap into Black Faces in High Places. Great, dope book to read. Shout out to Gustavo in the build. Appreciate you tapping in. Hit them likes, hit them 100s. It does help with the growth of the show, and I would appreciate it immensely. Thank you for tuning and tapping in. All right, y'all, moving on to our next one. Send them to Turkey or nah. Y'all already know the rules. Send them to Turkey or nah. Type in T to send people to Turkey. Type in N not to. The reason why we send people to Turkey, if this is your first time watching, is because we got people that just be moving backwards out here. And Turkey has some of the most stringent laws in the world, so we send people to Turkey or nah. First one of the night. This is something I came up with that it must be said. So y'all can send me to Turkey or nah. Y'all can send me to Turkey or nah with this one. My personal belief, we need a national powerhouse college basketball team in New York City. Why don't we have a national powerhouse college team in New York City? This has been like boggling my mind, because in every sport, especially in college, where the root and the basis of the recruiting, the school in that area or a school in that area is always a powerhouse. And what that means is, so for football, it's widely known that the guys that get mostly recruited is guys from Florida, Texas, California. You have Ohio on that list as well. So that's normally the list. And then Georgia. I'm about to forget Georgia. So those are the 5 main recruiting hotbeds in football. Okay, makes sense. Those schools in Florida, that's always a top powerhouse. Whether, it don't have to be every single year, but Miami's having a great year, but they always got great players. Florida State is having a great year. They always have great players. They may not always have great coaching, but they always have great players. Same thing in Texas, California, and all the other schools that I mentioned. They always have a national powerhouse. Talent-wise, you have to deal with, and the kids don't leave. In New York City is the mecca of basketball. That's not anything I'm going to argue with anybody that knows sports. Anybody. I live in Florida now. But if I go to the local basketball court, and the basketball courts in Florida, for the most part, be nice. They be nice compared to New York City basketball courts. These basketball courts be nice, immaculate, with the jump floor in the floor, meaning like they got special courts that you could go and play in Florida, where they have like the bounce in the floor. So if you a dunker, you know, it's highlight time. In New York City, that's all concrete, baby. Those are old rims. You know what I'm saying? You can see the weathering on the rims and all that type of stuff. But it doesn't make sense to me in New York City. There's not a national powerhouse where kids could go to every single year and they represent New York City. It's a hotbed of basketball players. It's the Mecca. We still have the best basketball players in the world. I'm not going to argue that. I know Georgia going to be like, nah, bro, we got the best players, and other Cali's going to say that. No, it's New York City. So it doesn't make sense to me why New York City Tech is not the most elite team in college basketball, or West New York State or something like that, but in New York City, not Syracuse, not Buffalo. I know St. John's is probably the closest thing that we have to a national powerhouse, but St. John's does not recruit at the level as North Carolina, Kentucky. Like on a regular basis, they don't recruit on that level like a UCLA. So it's high time that guys from New Jersey and New York City go to New York City school in the city. It's in the Mecca. And I know some people are like, yeah, well, that won't work because we got too much going on in New York City. Nah, man, nah. Nah, that's a lazy narrative. Miss me with that narrative. When something is popping in New York City, it gets exacerbated to the next level. So if LIU was popping in New York City, or I'm not going to say an Ivy League school because we do have Columbia in New York City. I'm not going to say them, but if we had a New York City school, if they really put more NIL deals into St. John's, more emphasis in basketball in LIU Brooklyn, or LIU, I believe LIU is a complete, I think they combine the schools if I'm not mistaken, CW Post and LIU Brooklyn, and just called the LIU. But in New York City in particular, whether it's Fordham, I don't care if they made Fordham a national powerhouse. Fordham is right in the Bronx. Go right to the Bronx. People will show up and show out. In New York City, contrary to what people believe, it's not always something to do in New York City. I said it. Whoop-de-doo. When you a native New Yorker, you run out of things to do. You run out of things to do. We do the same thing over and over again, and we just love doing it. We outside. Go to a club, to the movies, party over here, a cool effect. It's the same thing over and over. So to have a national powerhouse in basketball, where the Mecca, where we actually care about basketball, you could go to a local basketball court in New York City, and the court be trash, but it's packed. In New York City, you just need a little glimmer of decent weather for people to be on that court. The only way guys is not on that court is when it's icy cold outside. Other than that, people are on those basketball courts at the local basketball court in your neighborhood. So that doesn't make any sense where you have the Mecca and we don't have a national basketball team in the city. Again, I'm not talking about Syracuse. Shout out to Syracuse. But I'm talking about in the city, between Fordham, Hofstra, but Hofstra's LIU, but I still consider that city-ish. St. John. Damn, make Pace a national powerhouse. Because the differences in college sports is money. If you put the money into the program, then you could get the players. So why not have the money into the program in New York City? We need it. It's not because there's so much to do that it won't work. No, it would work. It would work. You see how Nets is doing. You see how the Knicks is doing. Yankees, Mets, it would work. Especially for college. It would work. You mean to tell me the guys that played 4 years in these local high schools, you mean to tell me their friends and their family not going to show up and show out? There was a player by the name of Felipe Lopez back in the day when I was a young guy coming up. But I remember him, he was like a damn legend before he stepped onto any campus. He was a legend. His basketball game was packed out. He had like a damn cult following him playing. You mean to tell me, because mind you, he ended up going to St. John's. But in this era, a player of his magnitude go to somewhere in the city, and let's say St. John's had the same funding and NIL deal as North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, UCLA. You mean those players don't go to St. John's? You mean those players don't go to Pace or Brooklyn College or Fordham? I don't care which New York City school it is, to be honest with you, long as it's a college New York City school in the city where people will show up and show out. It would absolutely work. Absolutely work. And not just for the players in the city, that's going to attract players from outside the city. Most people have an intrigue coming to New York City. It's really a culture shock to New York City. But people in Florida really find New York City interesting when they go there. They find it interesting. When I played college football, I played with plenty of guys from Florida, and they found the city interesting. They like, yo, like, it's cold here, but yo, I like it. So again, it doesn't make any sense why we don't have a national powerhouse in college sports and basketball. Y'all didn't send me to Turkey. I appreciate that. So I appreciate that. All right, y'all, moving on to our next one. Send them to Turkey or not. Michael Jackson estate says 2 abuse accusers are seeking $400 million in a lawsuit. Are we sending them to Turkey or not? Let me know in the chat. Again, type in T to send them to Turkey. Type it in. Not to send them to Turkey in the chat. Thank you for tuning in, y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Me personally, it's all right. So when somebody abuse you, it's hard to send somebody to Turkey if they got abused. But it's tough to prove because this man is no longer here. The burden of proof is really hard to prove at this point because, again, he's no longer here, and it feels like it's more besmirching his reputation. Because honestly, because of his past, it's basically like low-hanging fruit, because when he was alive, he did get accused of these type of accusations. He was cleared of all charges on these accusations, if I'm not mistaken. What I find very interesting is that some of these kids who Michael Jackson found himself to be innocent. Some of these kids that spoke prior said that their parents put them in a situation and going to Michael Jackson's home and then lying and coaching them to lie. So this man has been gone for a while now. So we just believe y'all. But the history of most of the accusers come to find out that their parents was coaching them on how to lie and keep that lie. So basically, y'all just trying to do it to get a bag, because the whole thing is not really to go to court. It's about settling. It's much easier to settle. You say, yo, I want $400 million. This dude touched my butt when I was a young kid. So instead of going to court, instead of fighting it, it will cost more to pay the lawyers and pay court fees. It's like, we're not going to give you 400 mil. It will cost us less to give you 250 mil just to drop the case, because the lawyers is $1 million. So here's 250 mil. So that's why I always say that when you settle out of court, it's not an admission of guilt. It's about business. So sometimes it's like, if I fight this case, even though my reputation is going to be smirched, or it's going to be checkered in ways now, it will cost me less just to pay it out. So at the end of the day, when I hear about this case in particular, it's going to be very hard to prove. Again, the burden of proof is on the victims. And obviously, if Michael Jackson did do stuff like this, I mean, how is he going to pay for it for real? Like, it's going to be very hard to have the estate pay that amount regardless without hardcore proof. Unless you don't have video somewhere. We all know that audio can be edited. Even video can be edited in a way too. So it has to be authenticated in all types of ways. So in this particular case, I'm gonna have to send them to Turkey. I'm gonna have to send them to Turkey because again, this is low hanging fruit. This man is no longer here, and at this point, you're just trying to tear his reputation apart unless you have hardcore evidence. Unless they had hardcore evidence, then to me, I'm sending them to Turkey. Shout out to Ryan Anthony, Michael Jackson, Chris Rock laughing at Michael Jackson. Welcome everyone. Please like, share, subscribe. Appreciate nobody. Appreciate you tapping in. Appreciate that. Chris Rock laughing at Michael Jackson. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, all of our, when I say our, as cultured individuals, whether it's entertainment, politics, sports, everybody had to go through some sort of public lashing, some sort of thing where it just really kills their reputation. And all these people had access to power. Michael Jackson had access to power. His music alone was able to do anything financially. So much to the point where he started buying other people's catalogs. And why that matters is because if you own other artists' catalogs, and not just other artists, top level artist catalogs, then you don't need a record team, a record label. You don't need none of that. You become the record label if you own other top level artists' catalogs. He owned the Beatles catalog, and for years, labels and the Beatles been trying to buy that catalog back before he passed away. But even when he first acquired it, they was trying to buy it from him. He's like, no, it's mine. Because now he put himself in a position of power. So I realized people from the cultured community, when we gain this type of power, we come through the game with our reputation not intact because we don't move as entities. Michael Jackson didn't move as an entity. Michael Jackson moved as an individual. And what I mean by that is this: when you say record company, oh, the record company messed me up, you say the record company. You don't say the person at the record company. When they talk about Netflix, yeah, man, Netflix be on, Netflix didn't offer me this, or Netflix didn't offer me that. When it comes to cultured people, oh yeah, Jay-Z didn't offer me this, or 50 Cent didn't offer me this, Tyler Perry didn't offer me this, Cat Williams didn't offer me this. And the reason why I say those names in particular, because they own production houses. LeBron James didn't pay me, this or whatever. So we do it as individuals instead of entities, and going through the entertainment space or just the space of being famous, the reputation never comes out intact. So I'm going to send this to Turkey. Again, I feel like at this point, without hardcore evidence, this is low-hanging fruit because this is somebody that has a reputation of being accused of something like this. And mind you, he was, found not guilty of these particular things. Shout out to Classic Game in the building. Appreciate you tapping in. Hit them likes, hit them 100s. Appreciate you tapping in. You're speaking facts. Hate to say, but he also put himself in harm's way by having people catalogs. I'm going to disagree with that. It's just business. And you know what's interesting? When it comes to us as a community, our business comes with, and I'm not saying you're doing this, Paul. I'm saying in general, our community comes with fear-mongering. It comes with feeling base that want to attach that to business. But when it comes to outside of the culture, business is just business. Like, for example, when we go to Gucci, Louis, like I don't shop there, but I'm just saying us as a culture, we have no problem shopping there. Prada, I used to be a big Prada head. But the point that I'm making is when we go to these stores, we don't ask for a discount. We don't ask for free 99. But when we deal with each other, it's the free, it's the discount, and that's a part of the feeling base. I feel like you should do it for free just cause, right? Or I feel like you should just sell me back my catalog just because I feel like I deserve it. Nah, bro, this is business. I see the long-term money. So when they own our stuff, it's never like it never comes with that notion, right? Even if you may feel the same way, it just doesn't come with that notion. Like when I covered the story on any artist, including myself, if you have your music up on Spotify, Spotify has a new update where basically we're now their artists. So they get to license any music that we put on Spotify to any other company, and they don't have to pay the artist. They pay us based on the old model, but within the new model, we're basically their artists if we keep our music or the music that we keep on Spotify. Not all the music, but just the music you keep on Spotify as an artist. So we're basically their artists. So they get to license, they get to AI that thing without paying us a dime. And nobody says anything because why? It's Spotify. It's the entity. Nobody's giving like the fear mongering or the feeling based type of energy when it comes to that part of the business. But I get the point that you're making. When you make over a certain amount of money in this country, you're a threat. We've always been threats when we get to the money. Like I said this before, well documented it before. This is in all industries. Whether it's politics, I said this about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They didn't die because they had influence of the minds of brothers and sisters throughout the world. They didn't die because of that. They wasn't assassinated because of that. They was assassinated because it started affecting the money. Martin Luther King, the things that he was talking about started echoing the money. Dr. Martin Luther King, very smart man. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Martin Luther King, I think I covered in the show later on. I think he was like the youngest student, like at Morehouse at the time that he went to Morehouse. I think he was like accepted there when he was 15. Very intelligent man. So when he started talking about that money on Malcolm X, started talking about that money on. Because influence also can transition to money. So anytime anybody of our culture has that type of power, like recently, y'all got to look at things in a bigger perspective. Yeah, I just seen LeBron James. We know LeBron James made a lot of money. He owned a lot of things. Sports. He's in the movie space, production space, and you know what other stuff that he owns that he doesn't put his name on, right? He just said the other day in an interview, yo, I'm broke. I don't got no money. My kids got all the NIL deals and all the money on. You know what I'm saying? I'm broke, baby. All the stuff I got on is free 99, kid. The jewels, my little t-shirt, all this is free 99. Because he understands when you start talking about that money on that level, they're coming. They're coming. Entities come at you as an entity. LeBron James is an individual. Martin Luther King was an individual. Jay-Z is an individual. Puff Daddy is an individual. So, that's why I say that, because when it gets to the money, Bill Cosby, about that money on. So again, when they get to the money, they get them up out of here or they try to besmirch their reputation. Same thing with R. Kelly. The money. The money. It's just so funny that all these people knew all this the whole time. They knew everything. Supposedly, they knew everything, right? Yeah, I was there. I was a part of this. I was a part of that. I was like, damn, what's going on in here? You wasn't saying none of that, bro. You was like, yo, what? Let me hear that song. Oh yeah, that's fire. Let me get that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get you 20 mil. So when you get to that money and the type of catalog that R. Kelly has, it's $1 billion catalog. Like, what are we talking about? So at the end of the day, it's about that money. Yes, classic game music. True. I was already thought control. Charlemagne, got schooled by Dame. Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the money. So that's so we sending that to Turkey. All right, y'all. Moving on to our next segment. It's time to wrap. This segment is brought to you by Button Snaps, where you get the finest of movies, shows, and documentaries and original content for your viewing pleasure of $4.99. Again, that's Button Snaps. That's the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. That's the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. First hot topic of the night. As of September 25th, the official date is now allowing Florida residents to openly carry after the federal appeals struck down by state decades-old ban in Florida to open and carry. So now, as of September 25th, we're 3 days in, Florida residents is now able to open and carry in the state of Florida. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. Again, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. So moving out to Florida, I was very surprised at how relaxed the gun laws is. If you know anything about Florida or Georgia, is very relaxed as far as gun laws in these particular states. What I find quite interesting, though, damn near everybody has a gun in Florida. But of course, you do hear shootings in Florida, but you hear more people tussling more than getting to the gun in Florida. You hear about more fights than gunplay in Florida because everybody has one. Everybody has one. So if I got one, you got one, we don't really need to shoot each other, but yo, about to catch these hands, dog. And because I believe that's part of the mindset is the reason why we don't have as many shootings to each other in Florida. Opposed to somewhere like New York City. Now, New York City, we're known for, I would say stabbing, slashes, a lot of knife play. Because if you get caught with a gun in New York City, you never see the light of day, bro. I'm telling you, if you get caught with a gun with no bullets, you're doing automatically 3 to 6 years. 3 to 6 years. You just basically killed your decade walking outside with a gun in New York City. Now, if you got one bullet in the joint, that's another 3 to 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you just killed, you just really ran off a decade by walking in New York City with the gun and the bullet, unless you have a job that would allow it. Jobs in New York City that probably allow you to carry is if you own a certain type of business that deals with money, they will allow you to carry only when you go into the bank. Obviously, top level security or obviously police officers, things of that magnitude, right? But just to carry, just to let you bust one in New York City, no, no, it's not happening. But in Florida, it's allowed. But in New York City, you hear about more gunplay than anything else, even though we're known for the blades and the razors and stuff like that. But it's interesting in Florida that you hear, again, less gunplay and everybody got guns. And it's all people now can open and carry them. So it's open and carry now. So it's quite interesting that that's going on because most people before this, the open and carry, and what that means is even before this particular law, you could have your gun in your car as long as it's locked. You can have your gun in your home as long as it's locked. If somebody breaks in, pray for them, right? But even in your vehicle, if you keep that locked up, you could have a gun in your vehicle before this law. So now that's open and carry. It's like, yo, you could go into the store and your piece is right on your hip. Long as you have it properly tucked away, you just can't have it like, you know what I'm saying? Because again, you still have children that's around, so you still have to have it properly secured on you. But the fact that people can do it, you know, will it cause more, excuse me, shootings and things of that nature? I don't think so. To be honest with you, I don't find it necessary for open and carry in Florida. I really don't. I really don't. I get it, but it's not necessary because we already had lax gun laws on top of that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to Spaz and Builder. Appreciate you tapping in. God, New York is scary. Shout out to Vic, my dog Vic. Little Haiti because of Crocs. Yep. Yeah. I mean, but see, alligators and crocodiles just don't pop up in any part of Florida, right? You have to be in certain parts of Florida where it's like, yo, it's crocs and alligators in here. So you got to have that thing on you just in case. And if you really got to have that thing on you, you're not going to carry no a Taurus P11. You're going to have your little AR-15 for alligator. You know what I'm saying? A little 45 ain't going to take no gator out, bro. Like, nah. Nah, you gonna have that thing or a shotgun more likely for you. So now, you know, but that's certain parts of Florida, you know, which is definitely needed. Because wildlife just don't be, you know what I'm saying? I thought you had to be fishing to open and carry. Yeah, they, like I said, they just changed it in Florida, September 25th. What about snakes in the toilet in Florida? You flush them. You know what I'm saying? You flush them. You don't fight no snakes. We don't get no. You know one thing I love about Florida, among other things, because of the quality of life. Like I ain't gonna lie, right? Growing up in Brooklyn, we have some of the most disrespectful, unadulterated, dirty, nasty, filthy, stinking rats you've ever seen in your life. These joints look like biceps. They look like a whole thigh muscle. They be big as torsos. All right, maybe I'm exaggerating on the torso part, but y'all get the point that I'm making. These joints really be master splinters. Like you could really pull up on the internet New York City rats dragging food like down the steps, like a whole pizza's down the steps in the train station to their little cubby spot to get their grub on. These rats is unbelievably big, big teeth and all. Living in Florida, for the time I've lived in Florida, I haven't seen a rat because of snakes. We got snakes. We got the little gecko things or whatever. Ain't no rats, baby. No mice, baby. We don't see them, baby. So that's one of the things I do appreciate. Because growing up seeing rats and all that type of stuff in New York City, living in Brooklyn, they so disrespectful. And it don't even matter where it's in every borough. The Bronx rats is very disrespectful. Brooklyn rats, they got a different type of health plan. Like, cause these joints be like super, like on steroids. They be just wild, brolic. Manhattan rats just be like so disrespectful because they gotta get it. Like it's weird. Like each borough of rats got their own personality because like Manhattan rats be deep too. If you pull up one of them damn garbage cans or garbage in itself in New York City, it ain't nothing but rats in there chilling, getting their grub on. Ain't bothering nobody. They gonna be deep too. Just saying. So the Queens rat be mad skinny, you know what I'm saying? Because in Queens, it's a lot of houses, you know what I'm saying? People treat their garbage right because, you know, there's houses out there. You get in trouble if you don't keep your garbage a certain way. So they got rats in Queens, but they be mad skinny, you know. They get what they could get, you know what I'm saying? Unless you in like Far Rockaway now. Them rats is kind of different. On Far Rock rats, it's kind of like they on a whole nother level of ratism in Far Rockaway. But yeah. So me personally, you know, I respect the fact that we got snakes in Florida. Vic, they walk with you on the sidewalk. Them rats in New York City will walk with you. I've had conversations, chilling, and a rat just ran across our feet. Like, I'm like, yo, just hella disrespectful. They punk for a sandwich in Brownsville, Queens. You have to realize the video short since the snakes topic came up. This is fun. From the city line. Shout out to David in the building. Appreciate you tapping in. Slinging dope. Missing aisle with the pads. I'm trying to tell you that the rats in New York City so disrespectful. And like Paul said, it started off as, you know, about the guns, and it ended up to the rats. I'm just saying, like, the rat conversation is a real, like, New York City, they hired a lady to catch New York City rats, and I believe they pay her like $3 million a year. You're not catching no, you're not solving no rat issue in New York City at this point. It's over. It's over. You got more rats in New York City than you have people. And it's been like that for decades. It's over. We've lost. We've lost. We've lost. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. No, it's a wrap. And the way we treat our garbage, like, it's too. That's what I'm saying. It's too many people in New York City, and the way we treat our garbage is crazy. It's crazy. We good out here, Lincoln Avenue. What's wrong with me tonight? They franchised. The Rats is franchised. That's funny. We doing parties in clubs. I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, yo, the Rats in New York City is just a wild thing. And it doesn't even matter, bro. It doesn't even matter. So that's one of the things, again, I appreciate in living in Florida. We don't see no rats, man. We don't see no mice, man. We don't see that, man. Because we do got snakes. But the snakes is also controlled. It's just how people in Florida, how we treat our garbage. We don't leave it, you know, hanging all over the place. We actually put it in the compactor. You know, the way they pick up the garbage, they got like garbage trucks that actually pick up the can itself, where the drivers don't get out and pick up garbage and throw the garbage. Nah, they don't do that here in Florida, baby. Nah, the truck do all that work. You know what I'm saying? So, I seen the raccoon. Yeah, we got raccoons in Florida. We definitely got raccoons. We definitely got raccoons. But the raccoons just trying to get something to eat, baby. You know what I'm saying? They just trying to get their grub on. You can't scare a raccoon in Florida. He just looking at you like, yo, I'm hungry. I could eat this food or I could get at you. You pick it. Now leave me alone. So, but we don't got like a whole bunch of raccoons though. I see rats all the time. They go after chicken and feed. Well, I will say this, right? I'm kind of putting sauce on it. So I haven't seen rats and mice in a housing area. Let me make that more clear. In a housing area, basically, we don't have them in our homes, apartments, or units. We don't have them on the location. But have I seen like rats on like an underpath of a bridge? Yes, yes. In Orlando, there's an underpath of the bridge where it's mad rats. It's mad rats. But that's how, you know, they kind of control it, because it's, you know, you go back, it'll be no rats for like weeks, days at a time. But yeah, not as big as New York. Of course not. You crazy? Florida rats ain't big as New York. I told you, New York rats got a different type of diet. They got a different type of diet. They eating chicken bones and all that. Pizza, chili, spice ham and cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese. They eating all that in New York City. Jelly with that on top of that. They sipping coffee. Florida rats, you know, they drinking piss and whatever they can find. Like, it's not, they don't get that type of diet in New York City. You know what I mean? All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. This one is funny. It's not funny at all, but it's crazy that we talked about sanitation. So a sanitation worker finds a woman's torso inside a garbage bag in Rosedale, Queens, in New York City. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. Again, the sanitation worker finds a woman's torso inside a garbage bag in Rosedale, Queens. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. Shout out to Damon in Long Island. I've seen some rats, deers, by the way, but never Riverdale. Okay. I saw a rat looking like he was a large cat, and I was just yo, I'm telling you, the rats is crazy. Shout out to Dago in the building. Appreciate you tapping and hit them likes, hit them 100s. Yeah, nah, come on, bro. That's can't compare me to him. Come on, stop. Dope, hell nah. That's horrible to hear happen anyway. Nah, that's a fact. They have to do a serious investigation with the torso that they found. I mean, I've said this before. New York City is also the type of place that you can literally be unalive and nobody would care for real. Nobody know nothing in New York City. You see people hurt, you see people bleeding. People in New York City will walk right past you in any borough. It probably, I mean, Staten Island is probably, I would say, more family oriented than any other borough, to be honest with you, as far as for strangers, but everybody got somewhere to go. So being that they found this torso in a garbage bag, obviously she has other body parts. And who's doing this type of murder? Who's doing this? So they have to do an investigation just based on the torso that they found. Who the woman is, what type of relationships that she had with people, and so on and so forth. Because we can't have people just being unalive and missing torsos and of this type of nature. Because again, this will carry on. And being in the place in New York City, the story only is going to get bigger and bigger. It's going to make people more afraid. In the past, in the 70s, before I was even a thought, they had, or I might be wrong, it's either the 60s or the 70s, there was a thing called a Summer of Sam, where there was a man walking around unaliving people just at random. And that really shook up the city for a period of time. They even did a movie about that. Shout out to Spike Lee. He did a movie about that. Pretty good movie, might I add. But to have this type of deal in New York City, finding a torso in the garbage bag, has to be devoted the utmost attention. Because if they're able to do this and get away with this one body part, imagine the other body parts. Did he do this to other people? Is this a collection of women that he's doing this to, or people in itself? So they have to nip that in the bud, and they have to do the deep investigation to solving this horrific crime. Was this recent? Yes, this was very recent. I'm from the East, but I get out to the hood and feel safe. The Zodiac killer was from the East. That's horrible. What happened? Yeah. So again, they need to do a deep investigation and have an impactful, devote all your resources to solving this crime, because again, we can't have this situation. And then, mind you, Rosedale, Queens is not Disney World, but at the end of the day, people get, unalive, but body parts, dismemberment, that's a whole nother level. So, again, I don't want to continue to regurgitate. So, unfortunately, that happened to that woman, and her body is yet to really be identified as far as her identification as of yet. So, all right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. Actor Tyreek Withers talks on dealing with his identity with the culture. For those who don't know who Tyreek Withers is, he's the star in a new movie called Him with Marlon Wayans. As you can see, he's very fair skinned, you know what I'm saying? Light skinned, bruh. But he was speaking on being biracial. Um, Obviously, I see my parents. I'm not biracial. That's no difference to him. I'm 100% brother. You know what I'm saying? You see my folks in the back. You know what I'm saying? But his experience dealing with being so fair skinned that he said when he grows hair straight out, it's just his straight hair. So, from my understanding, his dad is a cultured man and his mom is white, if I'm not mistaken. And dealing with that and playing this role and growing up, he also played a role similar on the show ATL, or Atlanta, I should say, with Donald Glover. He had a role kind of basically like what part of the spectrum do he falls under, you know? And most people, they see culture as an attitude. So when people say, "Oh, you acting cultured," and for those who don't know, I don't like saying the word black because we're not 3/5 of a people or 3/5 of a person. So I say cultured instead, and other reasons, but I keep it basic. Um, so again, him dealing with that is quite interesting because when you go to high school, it's probably like your first introduction to really feel like you have to pick a side, whether you're cultured or not. When you go to high school, you go to the lunchroom, you go to your peer group. For me, because I was an athlete, chilling with the athletes. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's just athletes. And if you're an athlete, it don't matter if you're cultured, you're white, or whatever you are. You're an athlete, bro. We blood, sweat, and tears. We a subculture. But it's quite interesting when it's about race and race only, and you chill with your race and the ideology that you could gain from each or both is very interesting in the dynamic in itself. Do people really have to choose if you're biracial? Because both is a part of your lineage and heritage. Obviously, you're more so cultured you know, than white or any other race. But at the end of the day, we're all human race, right? But we have to be real in subcultures. Even in high school, if you was a part of the JRTC, I wasn't, but you hang out with the army kids. If you was a part of the goth, like you like to wear black and black fingernails and black lipstick, you chill with the goth. Like it was really like that for me in high school, seeing the different subcultures and peer groups, regardless of race. So I find that quite interesting. And him playing this role, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I more so know his role for playing in the Atlanta series with Donald Glover, and basically his role in high school. He had to like, yo, either you cultured or you white, and what do that look like, and what do that feel like, and you're going to speak on. Do you speak on right and wrong, or do you speak on things solely because it's cultured or solely because it's white? So it's an interesting dynamic that he got to speak on, and these are the things that I took from it, bro. You got okay. Shout out to Donnie in the building. Hit them likes, hit them 100s. Being weird. Shout out to Brazil in the building. We got Brazil in the building, yo. Shout out to Brazil in the building. Appreciate Brazil for being in the building. I grew up on Video Music Box. Yo, Video Music Box was a good time. I went to Western House downtown. Also, bro, you from the crib, man. I'm from Brooklyn, brother. I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised, man. I just happened to be able to play some sports. So I had a scholarship to go to Fort Hamilton. I went to Fort Hamilton. But I lived in an area where, Wingate is located. And my mom lived in the area where, Tilden was located. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up going to Fort Hamilton because I could play both football and basketball. I actually played both sports in high school. Buster Rhymes, Big E, DMX were in my school. Now that's lit. I got friends that went to Western House too. And, some of these friends are much older than me, but they definitely went to Western House. A lot of my friends went to Western House. My mother actually worked near Western House. My mother worked for Supreme Court of New York for over 35 years. Saying Western House is basically right there. You know what I'm saying? So if you was ever in any summer programs, my mother ran them summer programs at Supreme Court as well. That was a part of her reach program for the summer youth amongst being an executive in Supreme Court of New York. So, but yeah, man. But yeah, so again, I find it quite interesting. Again, basically on his take on again being his father being cultured, his mom being white, and him feeling that he had to choose, or how do he choose, and that total mindset. But it begs the bigger question: do we all feel like we have to choose? Do we all feel like we're choosing based on our subcultures, based on our interests? Because if I love money, I want to be around people that love money. If I love music, I want to be around people that love music, regardless of race. I just want to be around the best so that make me better. If I want to be a doctor, I want to surround myself around other doctors so I could be the next one. Do that make sense? So is that something for everyone that we feel like we have to pick and choose, not just on the race aspect, or do we do it more so on the sub genre aspect? So yeah, man. We have Fort Greene, Red Hook, Marcy, Lafayette. Y'all, y'all familiar with all those spots, man. That's gangsta. Yup. And I used to play in tournaments in Tillery Park. Yep. Yeah, man. Very familiar, man. Very familiar, man. But shout out to Damon, man. No, fellow Brooklyn brother, man. That's what's up. So yeah, again, I found that aspect interesting regarding that. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. California man gets 25 million for wrongful conviction after serving 38 years in prison. Maurice Hastings, 72-year-old man, was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole in 1983 for essay assault and a 187. I get why I'm using the number instead of, and for 187 of Roberta Windermeyer, which she was unalived by a single gunshot as well. What do y'all think about this in the chat? So after doing 38 years in prison, me personally, I would be very, extremely jaded. I'm not, people make mistakes. It's all good. God don't make no mistakes. I'm not going to have a forgiving spirit. I'm not going to have a forgiving spirit. Me serving a day for a crime that I did not commit, I'm not going to have a forgiving spirit. 38 years? Don't even talk to me. Moving forward, I don't, if the cops better know my name, they better know my first and last name on sight. They better know my first and last name on sight. And what I mean by that is this: I don't want to be bothered. Don't ask me for nothing. Don't say nothing. Whatever crime that ever be committed, you better not ever look my way after serving 38 years for a crime that I did not commit. Now, do the 25 million help? I mean, that's the least you can do is 25 mil. The least. I gave y'all 38 years of my life. I'm 72. So, for real, he can still live a great. He's the quality of life that you can have at 72 if you're still in shape. You can reminisce a great life for yourself. But most men at 72 is gone. By 72, most men is gone in today's standards, in today's world. 25 mil. If I don't have kids, if I don't have grandchildren, What I'm gonna do with 25? I'm gonna spend it. Don't get it twisted. But it's either not enough. Like, where's my get out of jail free card on the jail out of jail free card? Because it can't just be the 25 mil. So at the end of the day, that's the least they could do, man. That's the least that they could do. 25 million is a lot of money. That's life-changing money, absolutely. At 72, I'm saying, man, like, and then mind you, he was in jail since 1983. This was before I was born. I'm 41. Just turned 41. Bruh. So at the end of the day, man, outside of the 25, they gotta come up with something else, man. Like, I'm serious. I need something else on top of this, bro. I'm telling you, that's why I said, on top of this, the police officers in my area, anywhere I go, they better know my name, last name, by face. Because I don't want no more problems. I'm 72 years old. Let me go spend my money in peace. If anything happened, nah, he ain't do it. Keep on. I don't want a speeding ticket. I don't want a parking ticket. I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. You got to throw extras on top of this, man. I don't want nothing. 38 years of my life. So that's how I feel about that, myself in particular. I would sue everyone that I could. And I mean, he did. He ended up getting a 25 million, from the suit that I legally could. Yeah, facts. So he ended up getting as much money as he can at this particular point. But man, I mean, you got to throw some adages on that for me. Like, for real. Like, because 25 mil as far as the money aspect, yes, it takes care of the money aspect. It takes care of your lifestyle. If he does have grandkids or children, it would take care of them as well too, if he chooses to go that route, right? But I need some adages, man. I need some adages. I need to get out of jail on top of my get out of jail on everything. So that's how I feel about that personally. Again, thank God he finally got out and didn't rot in prison. But again, he's 72 years old. 72 years old. So hopefully he could do what he needs to do health-wise. Because at 72 years old, physically, we have to make sure we stay on top of our health, and in that nature and everything like that. But damn, like, he's basically going to die super comfortable. But he ain't get to live no life. 25 mil at 50, 45, that's different from 25 mil at 70, at 72. It's different. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. Zion Williams, he had a severe weight loss, a new look. Zion Williams, again, let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. Me personally, this was like about time. Every single season since Zion Williamson has been in the league, he's always been overweight. Physically, you could see the talent. You could see his strength. You could see his explosion. You could see how effective he is in the game. And players, when their stats dictates wins, I put those type of players in very high ranking. When Zion Williams is playing high-level basketball, scoring, rebounding, and shot blocking, the Pelicans is one of the best teams in the West. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. They're one of the best teams in the West when he's on top of his game. When you see other players that will drop 30, 8 rebounds, and they still lose, they have no chance of winning, it's because their play don't dictate wins. Zion's abilities, his plays his play dictates wins and losses. So if Zion scored 30, he has 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a couple assists, the Pelicans then won the game. So again, I put him in very high regard, but the main factor was he will always get hurt because, again, he has a lot of weight. He's not that tall. He's only about, I would give Zion probably like 6'6", and being around 295, 290, maybe even 285, that's heavy for a guy who was 6'6". Now he looked like he's about 255, maybe 240-ish. His body's going to feel completely different. And he's still going to be able to have the same explosion, and he'll probably be a little stronger. He won't look it, but because that grown man strength is starting to kick in. So he's going to be just as effective, and I actually love it. I'll actually love it for the fact of the longevity that he will have in this season, and hopefully he would take his body seriously like we've seen with Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a great player on the 76ers, but he was always overweight, but he was still effective. But when he got to Phoenix, got to a meal prep plan and really took his body serious, he won the MVP. He was easily the second best player in the league for many of years, obviously after Jordan, but for many of years. And when Jordan left the game in '93, Barkley was the best player in the NBA for a while. So again, him taking care of his body is going to matter. It's going to matter. And it's going to help the Pelicans move forward, especially if basketball, I said Brooklyn, if basketball is at the forefront of his, things that he has going on. So I actually love it for him, and I hope that he takes it to the next level. Some people have been, giving some kickback because this is a contract year. So what? So what? He got in shape when he needs to get in shape, and hopefully he will continue to be on this path. So if you're a team, you're only going to do 2 things. You're either going to pay him or you're not. You're going to let him rock. So it's up to the team, and I hope that, again, this weight loss will take him to the next level in his game. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. 8th graders was charged with planning a mass shooting. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. 8th graders was charged with planning a mass shooting. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. This is sad. Like, they really caught these kids mainly because another student told the teacher that these kids showed them a gun and that they're planning on getting busy. And when the police apprehended them, they didn't find the gun, but they did find school schematics where the cameras was located, and they was basically planning a Columbine type of style mass shooting. 8th graders are normally 12 and 13 years old. What I didn't realize when I was a young kid and people that I went to school with, some kids look super happy one day and then completely disheveled the next day. And never in my thought process at that age, where they're going through things at home with their parents or their guardian or people that have access to them, that they could go through traumas that obviously I wouldn't recognize as a kid, but I was surprised and remiss that the adults as teachers, administrators didn't recognize in those students either. So I always found that to be interesting, because as an adult man, when I see children, you can tell when kids are going through something, going through trauma, based on the things that they say, based on the things that they wear, based on the things that they do. You can see that something didn't happen, especially if it's different from their behavior prior to. So these things are kind of, I don't want to say easy, but you can point it out in a young child, especially at that 12, 13-year-old level, because that's still at the age where kids can be saved, where kids still can be nurtured. Kids still wear their heart on their sleeve because they're kids. They don't know any better. So I find it very interesting that none of the counselors, none of the teachers recognize these behaviors before the situation even took place. Not even the parents are invested in these type of situations, because we never hear about the parents that their kids end up doing something like this. We never hear about the parents. We never hear what the relationship for real with the parents. Are you spending time with them? Are you being intentional with them? Are you being attentive with them? Because there's difference between being there and being attentive to your children. And I know that there's no book to parenting, but you don't want your child obviously be the one to get shot, but you don't also want your child be the one to affect and to, you know, to unalive other kids and children either. So it's very interesting that nobody picked up on those behaviors. A student had to come to you, tell you like, yo, this is going on with student A and student B. So nobody seen nothing. Nobody didn't realize the irregularity in their behavior, in their personality, the things that they could be wearing, the things that they could be saying, the music, just their whole aggression or demeanor. Are they being, you know, standoffish? You know, like, and kids don't know that they're being standoffish. They don't understand that type of lingo. They just going through traumas. I remember somebody described me as standoffish when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. Yeah, you was kind of standoffish. How can a child be standoffish? It's either they comfortable with your ass or they not. And if they not going to be around you because something about you don't rub that child the right way. So a kid can't be standoffish. That's why there's telltale, because again, kids wear it on their sleeve. They can't hide it. Like there's a scene in the show, in the movie series, Alien. It was the show called Alien Island or Alien Earth, and they basically in the show they grew up the kids. They grew them up, if that makes sense. Without telling y'all what I spawned, they grew the kids up, and the guy, the adult, was like, yo, you don't have the ability to lie yet. Like, I could tell y'all lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all just don't have it in you. In order to lie, you have to been able to be lying. Like, and been doing it. Y'all not capable of lying yet. So I could tell when y'all lying. Same thing with children. They tell on themselves every time. Every time, be like, yo, why'd you do it? I didn't do it. Yo, the cookie is right behind you, bro. Or you broke I see the remnants on your feet, bro. They can't hide it. So again, it's quite interesting that nobody peeped nothing out. Nobody seen the behavior changes or any of the things that I mentioned prior to. So I find that quite interesting regarding that with these kids that was planning a Columbine style mass shooting at their school. Quite interesting. Shout out to Paul. Okay, I should erase that. Shout out to Christopher Rivera, Maria Rivera. Appreciate you tapping in. How are you doing, sir? I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well with all that's going on with you. And you know, again, RIP to Dad. Appreciate you tapping in. Make sure you hit them likes and hearts, y'all. Y'all already in the chat. Hit them likes and them hearts. And continue to engage. It helps with the growth of the show. But yes, again, shout out to Maria. Thank you for tuning and tapping in. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. Ashanti Shakur, grandmother to Tupac, has died at 78 in Cuba. Rest in peace to Ashanti Shakur. She was mainly known for being a culture liberator of people. She was a member of the Black Liberation Army. I remember that particular crew was, you know, based, you know, through many different chapters throughout the world. I believe they had a California chapter, a New York chapter, and I forget the other city. I believe a Chicago chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But she was known mainly because she shot a state trooper and convicted of shooting a state trooper to their death in a shootout in Newark, New Jersey, on the New Jersey Turnpike in 1973. she was able to get away and take asylum in Cuba. And that was a part of like the thing between Cuba and the United States, because Fidel Castro wouldn't allow, the U.S. come to Cuba and extradite her. So she was able to take asylum there, and basically she was, liberating herself and us as people. And in that time, you needed people that was, yo, we bought this business. You talking about the YN culture, which I hate that terminology, but I like to flip that culture to YGs, young gods. But the culture of just being young and proud and understanding that we're not going to take this is something that most people are not willing to put their life on the line. She was, and she did. So a sincere, much well respect RIP to Miss Ashanti Shakur, also known as Joanne Chasmar, but the world know her as Ashanti Shakur. So much, well, rest in peace. A hot contribution for liberating people all through this country, and wanting better and speaking better of our culture and wanting better for the culture. So a major props to her. And then obviously that shootout, with her, it came in resistance of resistance. So an absolute, one side is saying, and of course us as a country will flip it in a whole nother direction. So, but again, rest in peace to her. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic. I want to give a quick shout out to Joshua Stinneth. A quick shout out to Joshua Stinneth, 13 years old student who is now the youngest. He surpassed Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. He surpassed Dr. Martin Luther King by being one of the youngest students ever enrolled and accepted at Morehouse College. Him being 13, Dr. Martin Luther King was 15 in 1944, and he broke his record at being the youngest student ever being accepted to Morehouse. So shout out to Joshua Stinneth. Again, a young god. I love this. You don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to be, an entertainer. You don't have to be anybody that's a so-called celebrity or fame, stature to get well-deserved recognition. So again, shout out to Joshua Stinneth for that major achievement, and I hope that he continues to move on and do even bigger and greater things in his life, because this is a hell of achievement and a hell of a start at 13 years old. So I love that for him and for the culture. All right, so moving on to our next hot topic. Y'all already know college football picks is in. I call this week Reality Saturday. And this week was Reality Saturday for a lot of teams, like I said. So the first game I called was number 16, Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest. Y'all heard me speak on Georgia Tech. They're a great team. They play rough and rugged. They run that ball with the quarterback, and they have a really solid defense. But Wake Forest is not a slouch. I think Wake Forest has a quarterback with more development, could easily be one of the best quarterbacks in all college football. But he needs more development. But he has the tools. He has the talent. But Georgia Tech did win that game. They beat Wake Forest 30-29. I did call that Georgia Tech will win that game. Next game, number 24, TCU versus Arizona State. I said that Arizona State will win that game. They did, 27-24. Telling you, their quarterback on Arizona State is a bad boy. This dude could play. You've seen it last year, how great he was last year. And now he's the super leader on his team without the running back from the Giants. His name escaped me right now. But he is the main de facto leader of the Arizona State team. And his play is dictating those wins. But, he has a great receiver too. They have a great defense as well. But without his contribution, man, like, he takes that team to a whole nother level. So Arizona State did win that game in an upset. So I did pick that game. Next game, number 21, USC versus 23, Illinois. I did pick USC. Illinois won that game. They won 34-32. It was a very close game all the way down to the end, but Illinois bested them. They played resilient football. They look completely different last week where they was favored, and I predicted that they would lose in an upset, and they lost mightily, so they redeemed themselves by beating a really good team in USC. Next game I called was number 4, LSU versus Ole Miss. I went with LSU. I thought LSU again wasn't playing powerhouse football, but they have better athletes. They have the better team. Not this weekend. Ole Miss won 24-19. LSU tried to come back at the end, but it just wasn't happening. Great job to Ole Miss as a coaching staff and as a team in their performance. They showed up and showed out all game long. Next game I called, number 6, Oregon versus number 3, Penn State. I went with Penn State. Again, Penn State lost. They lost another big game. James Franklin loses big games. I only thought that it only would be big games against Michigan or Ohio State. Nope, he's going to lose a big game. If it's a game on the line against another quality team, they're going to lose. And I just figured that out. I'm not big on Drew Aller. Never been big on Drew Aller, but I thought that they would win that game playing at home, playing in a whiteout. But, they lost 30-24. Last game I called was number 17, Bama versus number 5, Georgia. I said that number 17, Bama will win in an upset at Georgia, which is a very hard thing to do because Georgia did win 33 home games in a row. Bama won. They won that game 24-21. Ty Simpson, their quarterback, is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I seen it when they lost to Florida State. I'm like, they're not losing because of him. They're staying in the game because of this guy. And this guy can really play. I like the way his game is developing. And like I said, number 17, Bama did beat number 5, Georgia at Georgia. So that's my pick 6 for this week with my pick 6s. And I'm going to have the new my pick 6 this Wednesday for the next show. So my pick 6 for the NFL. So number 1 game that I called was Eagles versus the Bucks. I went with the Bucks. I thought the Bucks will win this game because I'm probably the only person that feel like the Eagles is a very beatable team. They do have flaws, but teams have not seen the flaws that I'm seeing. But hey, man, but the Eagles won. They won 31-25. The Buccaneers had a chance to win this game, but on the last possession, Baker Mayfield threw the interception to seal the victory for the Eagles. Next game I called the Colts versus the Rams. I said the Rams would have won this game, and they did, 27-20. Great hard-nosed game. Colts play hard-nosed football. Rams play hard-nosed football, but the Rams did get that W. Next game I called Browns versus the Lions. I said the Lions will win this game. They did, 34-10. The Browns should they should really consider making a quarterback change. We have to stop being ignorant to the fact that sometimes the writing is on the wall. You've seen the Giants, they made their change, and I don't even think they should have made their change because the games that they lost, I don't feel like it was on Russell Wilson. But with Dart being in the game, it did something to the entire locker room. And it gave the locker room a different resurgence. And this is what I was telling somebody online, and I never responded. And I'll say, you got to change your quarterbacks when the team doesn't believe in the quarterback. And the person was like, well, if you got too many quarterbacks, then when you switch your quarterback, you're basically telling the team you're giving up. No, you're not. Like, you shouldn't even be speaking because you never played in no locker rooms. Having the right quarterback on the field does galvanize the team. It matters. It doesn't matter. Talent at the quarterback position matters, but it also matters if they have command command of that team? Are they a leader of men? And if your quarterback can run and throw, but he's not a leader, then guess what? They're not going to follow. The Browns situation, Joe Flacco, career-wise, great quarterback. But where he's at right now, he will be a viable backup for when your starting quarterback goes down. They really need to consider making a change and going to Shador. Not Dylan Gabriel, to Shador. Dylan Gabriel, good player. He started off at Central Florida. He was good. But anybody knows Central Florida. Central Florida is always good. Goes to Oklahoma, they're good. Goes to Oregon, they're good. There's a whole bunch of top-tier athletes at Oklahoma and Oregon. He's a good player, but I look at Dylan Gabriel as a backup. Shador has it. He has the star factor, and y'all wasting you away y'all defense. Cleveland is wasting away their defense. Their defense this year is good enough, and like they would have probably a top 5, top 8 defense if they had better offensive output. If they had better offensive output, statistically, they would be up there. Their defense is that good. They have to make the change, and they have to go to Shador. Because if you don't go to Dylan Gabriel, it's going to be more of the same thing. He hasn't done anything to make me believe that he's a leader of men. And the team doesn't respond to Dylan Gabriel like they do to Shador. And I'm just talking football. I'm not even talking about people going to show up, how many people going to watch the game. I'm not even talking about that. We already know how that story going to be. I'm talking about as being a leader of men and being able to galvanize the team because the guys believe. Some people say, well, what does Shador Sanders do to if you see the interaction with the guys with Shador and Dylan Gabriel, it's different. And when you played in a locker room before, you see it. That's why the Giants went to Dart and went away from Russell. And if you watch the Giants games, Russell wasn't the reason why they was losing. So again, the right quarterback does galvanize the team, and they should make that change. All right, moving on. Next game I called was Bills versus the Saints. I said the Bills will win that game. They did, 31-19. Chargers versus the Giants. I did go with the Chargers because I thought rookie quarterbacks is food to a Jim Harbaugh's defense. Obviously not. They lost 21-18 to the Giants. And again, this is Jackson Dart's first start. So galvanize the team. Hey man. So again, I lost that pick. 21-18. Next game I called Vikings versus the Steelers. I went with the Steelers. Steelers won 24-21 in that game. Vikings is a good, resilient team. And they're going to fight. They're going to fight each and every game. But I just felt like the Steelers was a little bit better. Their defense looked good. Aaron Rodgers looks better than obviously what he did on the Jets. And the supporting cast is very solid. It's very solid to say the least. So that's my pick 6 for the NFL for this week. And again, I'm gonna have my pick 6 this Wednesday. So if you're trying to win you some money on, you doing a little, whatever how you get it, whether it's money line, whether it's spread, or a lot of people like to do the parlays. Maybe one of my picks, a couple of my picks, 3 of my picks will help you get to that money. So I'm going to have those in for next week. This next episode on Wednesday. FSU lost against Virginia. Yes, they did. I didn't pick FSU, though. They did lose to Virginia. FSU is very weird when they play Virginia. When they play Virginia, they're very weird. So that's why I didn't even touch that game. They're very weird. And they got to play Miami this weekend. And Miami looked real good. They looked dominant this year. Cowboys game ended in the tie. I didn't see the ending of the Cowboys game. I have to look at that. Shout out to Cadian, KF. Okay, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you for being weird. Uh, it's always weird to me when people try to stand out by being stains, by trying to crack jokes. It's one thing when the jokes are funny. I love a good joke. I'm from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? But damn, the jokes be dry. Whew. P.U. Stank on ya. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. Moving on to our next segment. I keep the lie alive segment. My keep the lie alive for this episode is knowing and learning to fight battles. Knowing and learning when to fight battles. And I say that mainly because day to day, we all go through things that we think is like the most important thing in the world, where we like, yo, I got to get this done. I got to do this. This person is fighting against me, or this company is fighting against me. And I got to be able to get through this to get to plan C. And sometimes when you just do your part, because I don't believe in make believes. I don't believe in that. But when you do your part, things happen the way it's supposed to happen. Not because it's a make believe, not because it's just supposed to happen like that. It's because you're preparing yourself. You're educating yourself. You're learning when and when to fight battles. You're not being a pushover, but you're understanding about preparing. And in preparing yourself, you learn that certain things is not even worth your time. When somebody leave silly comments, when somebody try to do things to stop you from making money, when somebody try to block a blessing on you getting this or that or whatever the case may be, we find it as like being monumental. We find it as being like so like, oh man, I just gotta, when sometimes all you gotta do for the most part, not even sometimes, majority of the time, all you gotta do is just do your part. Focus on the main thing. Focus on what you do well. And what you do well based on education, based on skill, based on doing it all the time, something that you would do for free, but you do it such at a high level, that situation takes care of itself by being prepared, by being ready and being knowledgeable. So knowing and learning when to fight battles is critical moving forward in life, because we live life. Life could be great today, and the next day it'll be shit. Like we talked about the man earlier that did 38 years in jail. He went through 38 years of hell. Now they gave him $25 million at 72 years old. Got to move forward. And whatever decision he does to move forward, he still has to move forward. He has 25 mil. So, but the next day of his life could turn back into shit. So we have to be aware, learning when and how to fight our battles by being prepared, by being skilled, by being educated, and making sure that we have a clear understanding of what we're doing. So that's my Keep the Lie Alive for this episode. I appreciate y'all for tuning and tapping in. Y'all been amazing as always. Cowboys 40, Packers 40. Okay, I gotta check that game out. I hate when games end in ties. I think that's the wackest thing about the NFL, where they end the game in tie. We're not leaving the field till somebody win. I hate when they end the game in ties. I really do, me personally. I can't stand ties. That's like the most un-American thing that's in the most American sport in the U.S. is ties. Like, I hate a tie. So I gotta check that out. But episode 200 is pulling and popping up very soon. This is episode 198. So again, if you have some dope ideas that you could share, that you'd like to see me do for episode 200, let me know. I do them, and we have some fun. The 200th episode is going to be so fire, so dope. So again, looking forward to some of those ideas. Also, this is a monumental moment, because I didn't think I would get to 200 episodes doing this pod, and I want to thank y'all, because y'all are the most important part and piece of this, because it gives me a chance to talk to y'all. I have such a passion for this. So any type of accolades or success that I gain and garner through the show is really because of y'all. But I have such a passion for this, so I'm so grateful when y'all leave dope comments, when y'all gift and all that, you know, like and subscribe. I'm super, super grateful and thankful when y'all do that, because it means the world to me, because I have such a passion for this. So again, thank y'all. Episode 200 is pulling up. Also, I want to thank the sponsors of the show, Button Snaps and OUV Records. If you're interested in becoming one of the sponsors of the show, you can hit me on my Instagram at Ashley Lovechild. Or if you just want to pull up, show some love, throw some comments, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's all love. So I want to thank y'all for that as well. Also, I want to thank the presenting sponsor, which is Button Snaps, so you get to find us some movies, shows, documentaries, and original content for your viewing pleasure of $4.99. Again, that's Button Snaps. That's the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. Again, that's the word button, hyphenated sign, and the word snaps.com. Also, I want to thank all those who have been supporting my new EP, Winners Loyalty, up on all music platforms. If you haven't heard it, type in Ashley Lovechild on all music platforms, and Winners Loyalty will pop up. 6 songs of fire, especially if you hip-hop fans. So I want to thank y'all for supporting it, for the ones who have already. We on the road to 20,000 subscribers, y'all. We're a little over 11, so continue to like, subscribe, share. Got over 500 rewatchable videos of this podcast on this channel. So again, tune into those clips, those videos. It's a lot of them, a lot of content. So continue to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that all notification bell, because I do pop up throughout the week. And also, there's memberships in the chat. Different memberships do get granted different access, so take advantage of the memberships. And there's merchandise as well linked in the chat. Hit that fourthwall.com. You get 10% off by using the promo code BrothersPod on all products in our store, such as this fly hat, you know what I'm saying? That, and t-shirts, and we got a whole bunch of stuff in there. So make sure y'all tune and tap into the store as well. Yeah, man, I want to thank y'all, man. I want to thank y'all again. This journey has been amazing. I've learned something new about myself each and every episode, and I hope that we continue to have the conversation, because we do talk about everything here, and that's important to you, that's fun to you, that evokes the right type of emotion. So again, I want to thank y'all for tuning and tapping in and supporting the show. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to some of y'all in the building, man. Shout out to some of y'all day ones and big bad shoulders. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to Christopher, well, Maria in the building. Rest in peace, Christopher Rivera. Shout out to Damon in the building. Shout out to Jay, Dope, Vic, my dude Vic in the building. Appreciate Vic for tapping in. Walter Peters. I'm not going to do every single person, but, you know, just enough. Shout out to Spaz in the building. Classic Game. Shout out to Dope. Shout out to Baby LL in the building. Shout out to, I believe I said Paul. Shout out to Ryan Anthony in the building. Who else did I miss? Shout out to King P in the building. Shout out to Shay. Yeah, I'm not going to shout out every single person, but, yo, shout out to y'all in the building, man. I appreciate y'all tuning and tapping in every Wednesday, every Sunday night. So again, I'll see y'all soon this Wednesday at 10:30. Make sure y'all tune and tap in, be ready. And I might go live tomorrow with some special announcements. And we got some more added special announcements for episode 200 as well. So y'all already know, man. I'm going to see y'all soon. It's love. And I'll see y'all this Wednesday at 10:30. I'm out.